On day 2 of the highly anticipated federal trial of music mogul Shawn Diddy Combs, the courtroom saw a dramatic shift in momentum as his former partner, Cassie Ventura, took the witness stand. The woman once seen smiling beside Diddy at red carpet events now stood at the center of the prosecution's case, ready to recount a story few could have imagined. Visibly pregnant, wearing a modest brown dress and walking with her head held high, Cassie entered the room with a quiet strength. She made no eye contact with Diddy, the man she had once loved, and the man she now accused of unimaginable abuse. Her testimony began with how she met Combs. She was only 19 years old at the time, a young model with dreams of a music career. Diddy, already a powerful and influential figure in the industry, was in his late 30s, a millionaire many times over. According to Cassie, the power dynamic was established immediately, and it was one he never let her forget. As she described it, Diddy used his fame, influence, and wealth not only to propel her career, but to control her entirely. She told the jury how, in the early stages of their relationship, Diddy started demanding to know where she was at all times. If she was out with friends, he would show up unannounced. If she didn't answer a text quickly, he'd accuse her of being disrespectful. She alleged that he later installed tracking software on her phone, software that allowed him to see her every move. She shared how he would call her within minutes of arriving somewhere, always aware of her exact location. Eventually, he isolated her from her closest friends, those who might have encouraged her to leave or think for herself. One by one, her support system disappeared, until, as she put it, Diddy was all she had left. Then came what Cassie called the freak-offs, a term introduced by Diddy about a year into their relationship. These were orchestrated voyeuristic sexual encounters in which Cassie was allegedly required to have sex with escorts while Diddy watched. According to her, he planned every detail, from the lighting in the room to what she wore, to how she was supposed to behave during the acts. She testified that at 21 or 22 years old, she didn't know any better. She said she wanted to please him, to make him happy. At one point during her testimony, when asked whether she ever enjoyed these experiences, she broke down. Through tears, she admitted, "I did, but only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Shawn. I really loved him." That statement, the prosecution argued, illustrated the psychological abuse layered atop the physical manipulation. She wasn't just a participant, she was being molded, trained, and controlled. Her words became more intense as she described how her objections to these encounters were subtly, then overtly, suppressed. She referenced an email from 2010 in which she tried to bring up the subject with Diddy, expressing discomfort. His reply, "I know you don't want to do it," made her backpedal immediately, saying instead that she was fine with it. But she told the jury she wasn't. She felt trapped, scared, dirty, like she didn't have a real choice. From there, Cassie's testimony shifted into recounting physical abuse. She described being thrown against walls during arguments, being shoved downstairs at a rental house in Miami, and being choked to the point of nearly passing out. In one chilling detail, she told the court that Diddy would only stop choking her once her body went limp. Several jurors were visibly shaken by her words. One older woman was seen wiping tears from her eyes. A male juror looked away, unable to make eye contact with either Cassie or the defendant. The most explosive moment came when Cassie revealed a previously undisclosed incident from 2016 at the Four Seasons Hotel. The story, never mentioned in prior lawsuits or media reports, stunned the courtroom. According to Cassie, what began as a typical after-party turned into a nightmare. After seeing her talking with another music executive, Diddy allegedly became enraged. She described how his smile vanished, how he grabbed her arm hard enough to leave bruises, and how he whispered threats in her ear while maintaining a calm facade in front of others. She testified that he dragged her through the hotel lobby to an elevator as she cried and tried to pull away. A security guard approached them, but backed off once he recognized who Diddy was. "He didn't even ask me if I was okay," she said. Once in the hotel room, she claimed Diddy flew into a violent rage. He allegedly threw a champagne bottle at her head, missing by inches. He destroyed furniture, flipping tables, breaking lamps, punching a hole in the bathroom door. According to Cassie, he confiscated her phone and held her in the room for over 48 hours, threatening consequences if she tried to call for help. The next morning, she took photos of her injuries, bruises, a split lip, redness around her neck. These weren't professional photos. They were shaky, taken in a mirror. The rawness of them made them even more impactful. When her attorney displayed them in court, jurors reacted strongly. One covered her mouth in shock. 2 men turned their heads away. Another juror began writing in her notebook, her hands visibly shaking. Diddy's legal team tried to block the photos from being entered into evidence, arguing that they weren't properly authenticated. The judge denied every objection, and with each piece of evidence, Diddy's demeanor deteriorated. Observers noted that the confidence he had walked in with that morning, flanked by a team of high-powered lawyers, had all but vanished. He became visibly agitated, fidgeting with his tie, then his cufflinks, then just his hands. At one point, he was seen frantically scribbling notes and shoving them toward his attorneys, who had to physically slow him down. Witnesses described watching a man who was used to controlling everything suddenly realizing he couldn't control this.
But it didn't stop there.
Cassie's team then began revealing a collection of messages, texts, and emails that she had quietly saved over the years. In some, Diddy appeared to apologize for violent outbursts. In others, he offered money and gifts in exchange for silence. One message read, "Whatever you need to make this right. New car, new apartment, whatever you want." Another said, $2 million. Clean break. You don't talk about anything from the past 5 years. These messages stood in stark contrast to his public narrative that no wrongdoing had ever occurred. Perhaps even more damaging were the messages from other well-known celebrities. A major rapper texted her after a Grammy after-party, saying, "You okay? What I saw tonight wasn't right." A female pop star messaged her, "I've known him for 15 years, and I've never seen him act like that with anyone else. This isn't normal. Please call me." And a longtime producer who had worked closely with Diddy wrote, "I can't be around this anymore. I told him to get help. Call me when you're safe." These messages directly contradicted Diddy's long-held claim that no one had ever witnessed any inappropriate behavior. And then came the recordings. Cassie's attorney played actual audio clips of Diddy allegedly threatening her and her family. As the recordings played in the courtroom, Diddy lost control completely. He jumped to his feet and shouted at Cassie, "You know that's not how it happened." His legal team tried to restrain him, and it took 3 attorneys to pull him back into his seat. The judge immediately called for a recess, warning that if Diddy couldn't compose himself, he would be removed from the courtroom entirely. The effect of these moments was seismic. Witnesses described seeing the transformation in Diddy, no longer the untouchable, charismatic mogul, but a man cornered and unraveling. Even court reporters who had covered hundreds of celebrity cases said they'd never seen anything like it. One remarked, "It was like watching someone realize for the first time in their life that they can't spin the story." As the day went on, it became clear just how much Cassie had prepared. She hadn't just come forward with accusations, she came with receipts, photos, emails, messages, recordings, witness corroboration, all saved and stored over years. She told the court she kept them because she always knew no one would believe her without proof, not against someone as powerful as Diddy. And that proof was working. Members of Diddy's entourage, people who had walked in with him that morning in a show of support, began quietly leaving the courtroom as the evidence mounted. By the time Cassie's testimony ended for the day, Diddy was sitting almost alone, just him and his legal team. The powerful image he'd tried to project had crumbled. The courtroom saw not a mogul, but a man brought to his knees by years of allegations that were finally being heard in public, under oath, with evidence to back them up. As court adjourned on day 2, the message was clear. Cassie Ventura didn't just tell her story, she flipped the power dynamic that had once left her voiceless. In doing so, she may have rewritten the legacy of one of the most influential figures in hip-hop history. The question now isn't just whether Diddy will win this case, It's whether his carefully constructed public image can survive what was revealed inside that courtroom.